Hey, it's CurlyHairedVanguard, and I wanted to try and see if I can do something a little bit different today. I wanted to see if I can review the new Cray-Cross Epic ride lines and their support. So right off the top, before we get started, I did want to mention that my voice has been acting kind of weird. You might have noticed it in some of the other videos that I've uploaded in the last week or two. It's been going on for like a month now, so I'm a little concerned. I will be seeking a doctor, or I already have an appointment to go see one pretty soon. But it just means sometimes throughout this video I'll try and say something like try out, and my voice will do that weird thing, or just completely cut off or something like that. I'll try and do multiple takes if that happens, but sometimes I might have to leave it in, so just letting you guys know. But in any case, I was really excited for these ride lines when they were first announced, because I thought it would be a really exciting way to, one, try out a nation that maybe I didn't really care about before with the new ride line, and also see how that nation changes and how it interacts with like the dual nations cards that they have. But we didn't really get anything that was, I want to say, impactful-ish. At least for standard. I would love to talk about something like premium for this video as well, but I don't have any point of reference for that since I don't really play premium yet. I was originally going to reach out to Out Orange and see if maybe we can get her on this video and see if she can provide some of her own points, but also tell us about premium and how these might affect premium, but I did not. So maybe next time. And I think what I'll do for these is do a sort of 3-point scale where I'll give each of the ride lines as a whole and their, supporting cards 1, 2, or 3 points, and it'll just really be based off 1, if I like the art, 2, if I like the playstyle, and 3, if it actually provides anything to the other decks in that nation, or just that nation as a whole, or even just in terms of like adding a diverse sort of deck that sort of changes things up. It doesn't have to like be top tier or anything like that, but just something new or interesting or different, right? That's not currently available. So let's go ahead and get started here with Rorowa. He is for Thegrea here. This is the starter. When you ride upon it, if you went second, you get to draw a card. I do like a lot of the art for Rorowa, so I'll probably already give it 1 point, I'll tell you that. Next up, we have Awakening from Slumber Rorowa. Auto, when this unit is placed by riding on Bioroid Youth Rorowa, which is a grade 0 we just took a look at, call up to 1 plant token to your back row center rearguard circle. I don't know how I feel about that skill for grade 1, especially since it has to specifically go to the back. Don't think there's really anything that you can do in grade, or when you're on your grade 1 Vanguard. That's kind of true for most decks nowadays, but would have been nice if maybe that was a little bit more explored. Then we have the World 3000 Years Later Rorowa. Auto, when this unit is placed on a Vanguard circle, you can pay the cost to retire one of your rearguards, so presumably the token you got from the grade 1, and then call up to 2 plant tokens, 2 rearguard circles, so it doesn't have to be the back row center anymore, which is okay. That's kind of nice. You get something out there. Again, not really much that you can do when you're on your grade 2 with these 2 tokens. I guess you could technically pile them up on one side and make a column and then try and push with them. There's that, I guess. Finally, we're gonna go to the grade 3 here for Once Precious Thing Rorowa. So he has an act skill, which is once per turn on Vanguard Circle. You can pay the cost of Soul Blast 1. Then you can call up to 3 plant tokens to your rearguard circles. So this means, in combination with the grade 2, you're gonna have a full field, or you can have a full field of plant tokens. The plant tokens themselves are grade 0s with 5k power and 1 critical and boost. So that by itself doesn't really do anything, right? You just get 2 columns that are 10k and then a booster for your Vanguard, which is 5k. That literally does nothing, honestly. So far that's kind of mediocre. Then he has another skill, Auto on Vanguard Circle. When his unit is attacked, you can pay the cost So you retire one or more of your token units, and this unit gets 5k power until the end of that battle for each unit retired for this cost. Now originally I thought this skill was when this unit attacks, you can retire tokens powered up for that battle. And I was like, alright, I mean, I guess, but that's kind of whatever. But I was like, yeah, I guess that's a strong attack. You can attack with him last, you know, all your triggers have to go on him, which kind of sucks, but you know, fine. But it's actually when he is being attacked, so it's on your opponent's turn, which is also actually cooler, right? But it's also way less useful, right? Because the only way you can really get a lot of value out of this is if you have maybe at least 2. Retiring 1, I mean, I guess you can stop a very small attack, but the fact that it's until the end of that battle makes this very, very not good. They could have very easily, I think, maybe, made this until the end of the turn, or maybe given a less of a power boost if that would have been too much, because I guess you can technically every turn just get, you know, 3, retire them, and then not let your opponent attack. So I guess that is a thing, but at the same time, you really only maybe block 1 attack, and also you have to have a bunch of these kind of useless tokens on the board, so I'm not a huge fan of that. These are the tokens themselves. Again, they don't really do anything other than be just 5k boosters or attackers. But we do have a Momoke token, which is a dual nation, our first dual nation card here. It is for both Dragon Empire and Thegrea, which is kind of silly because it's a token, so it doesn't go into your deck. But this has an axe skill on Rearguard Circle, where once per turn you can pay the cost to retire 1 or more of your rearguards, and this unit gets 5k power to the end of the turn for each of your units each of your units retired, which is cool. So it works with Rorowa. You summon your plant tokens, eat them up with your Momoke. Then he has an additional skill, which unfortunately is only active when glitter is active, which means if your Vanguard is Rorowa, which with also glitter, which maybe kind of makes me think that there's either going to be a Aurora without glitter, or B, there's going to be Aurora with a different glitter. Because if you go back to Aurora, I kind of skipped over it, but it says here glitter. This card is a glitter which seeks to fire regalias. So I don't know if there's going to be different regalias, maybe, and they'll be played with different cards. I've been meaning to look into the lore myself because I find it really interesting. I was going to maybe do a video on it. But until then, I'm going into this kind of blind. But in any case, for now, all this means is that you can only use this skill when your Vanguard is Rorowa, right? And it just says, continuous, if you have a unit with Raidelina in its card name in the same column as this unit can attack from the back row. Which is really cool, especially for Thegrea, right? Unfortunately, you can't use this with Magnolia, which specializes on the back row. But it is still, you know, kind of decent, right? It would have been really cool if you use it in Magnolia as your big finisher, right? Magnolia could maybe use a big push like that. Maybe not really required, but it would have been kind of decent to just eat your whole board, swinging with a big attack, right? But then next up, we have ourselves the Drag Gritter Girl of the Flame Blossoms, Raidelina. So, act on Rearguard Circle. If you don't have a Momoke token, you can counterblast 1, call a Momoke token to your Rearguard Circle. Okay. And that's it. Unless you have your Vanguard as Rorowa again, then you can, when this unit attacks, Soul Blast 1, choose one of your tokens in the same column, and get the same power that that token has until the end of that battle. So essentially, what the loop, or the sort of gameplay loop for this is, you get tokens with Rorowa. I don't really know what you'll be doing with these tokens other than letting Momoke eat them to get power and attack them back row, right? So you get 3, you get 5 for each. This becomes a 20k attacker. Then Raidelina gets that same power, so she actually becomes a 30k attacker. You know, 2 pretty good strong hits. And I guess you can play some other stuff on the other columns and, you know, get 4 attacks in 1 turn. Works really well with like inlet pulse and stuff. So this is fine, but I'm honestly gonna give this maybe like in terms of playstyle, I'll give it like half a point. And in terms of like playing nice with all the other cards, it gets a big old 0. Even though we don't really have these kinds of tokens in overdress, we have, you know, Orphis, which is a way better example of how to do anything with tokens, right? So yeah, Rorowa gets a 1.5 from me. Next up, we have here the Dragon Empire, new ride line here in the Nine-Tailed Fox Spirit Tamayura. Same as before, it's just a grade 0. When you ride over it and you win second, draw a card. Then you have the grade 1 in the Calm Sunlight Tamayura. Auto when this unit is placed by riding from the grade 1, or sorry, the grade 0. Look at the top 7 cards of your deck and then choose up to 1 card, only 1, with either Rimuri or Romuri in its card name, or a Fox Art card, and then reveal it, put it in your hand, shuffle your deck. So you can search out a lot of cards with this, which is really good. You have 3 different cards that you can select from this and add to your hand, which means that pretty much you're always going to add something, which is really nice. Doesn't help that you're probably playing 4 copies of all these cards as well. In terms of the art, it's fine. I'm not really into the whole like Shrine Maiden thing, but you know, I'm not against it. So, you know, we'll see. Next up, we have the grade 2 Festival of Burning Tamayura. When this unit is placed by riding over the grade 1, choose up to 1 card with Romuri or Rimuri or Romuri. Ririmi? Maybe that's how you say it. Ririmi and Rarami. Yeah. In its card name from your drop and add it to your hand. So you can search it out here and then discard it for the ride of the grade 2, add it back to your hand, which is really nice. I really love the sort of ride deck, ride line cards that sort of have the interaction where grade 1 searches, grade 2 brings back the stuff that you searched if you discarded it, which is really nice. And then finally here we have Deepening Night Tamayura, the grade 3. So auto on Vanguard Circle. At the beginning of your ride phase, you get all of your front row units get 5k power until the end of the turn. I think this works similar to Final Rush, where it means like, it says you, right? It doesn't say the Vanguard gets this skill, it means you. So if you Persona ride over it, you still get this skill, because I believe it's applied to you, the player, which is kind of cool. But in general, this is amazing, because it just means that all of your units are going to be able to swing at your opponent's grade 3 Vanguard. They're also going to be relatively stronger. If you Persona ride, that's going to be really big numbers. So this alone is really good, right? But then she has more. Auto on Vanguard Circle. When this unit attacks, you can pay the cost of Counterblast 1 and perform one of the following. You can either choose a card from your soul, call it to Rearguard Circle, or you can choose both a Ririmi and a Rawami cards that have that in their card name from your soul, and then call them to Rearguard Circle. Fucking dope. You can get 4 or 5 attacks with this, depending on what you call out. And they're gonna hit unless you call out a, even if you call out a grade 1, it'll hit. Because it'll be presumably 8k base, and it'll go up to 13k base. That's amazing. This is amazing. Both of these skills, absolutely love it. They're also not locked behind specific cards. Like, I know you have to use the Ririmi and Rawami for the second part, but you can still call out anything. So you can play this in, I don't know, with like Trickstars, or the like overDress units or something like that. Like, obviously you won't, but you can, right? That's the whole point. You have the option to like do stuff, which I find really amazing. Then next up, we have the Twin Direful Dolls, Rurimi. So this one, when you place this on, it's an auto skill when you place it on Rearguard Circle. If you have another Rearguard with Rawami in its card name, you can pay the cost of Soul Blast 2. Choose one of your opponent's Rearguards, and your opponent puts them into the soul. This card really disappointed me when I found out about it, because I really liked that it's the dual nation for Dark States, which is great, because, you know, I play Baromagus mainly, but this is kind of useless for, I think, most decks. I don't think Bruce needs this. They already have Derek, which I think does a better job at this, and you need both of the girls in order to do this. The deck that best makes use of this is Baromagus, because you could very easily soul charge them and then call them out with Baromagus' skill. But since you used Baromagus' skill, there's not going to be anything for you to retire, so that's kind of pointless. You, I guess, could use this in Greedon, but I don't think that necessarily helps Greedon per se, especially in a main win condition, which is just to have their huge Vanguard swing multiple times, right? Then you have another skill, if your Vanguard is Tamayura, that if this is retired from Guardian Circle, you can put this into the soul. I really wish they kind of switched this around. I feel like this card would be way more flexible and useful if it just worked as a basically a Shuada. Maybe it doesn't get the plus 5k, but that's still pretty solid, right? At least it's moderately useful than just on place. If you have another card, you can Soul Blast 2 to then put something in the soul. Like, at least it's in the soul, which is a little difficult for some decks to sort of work around it, but overall I'm pretty disappointed with this one. And then next up we have the Twin Direful Dolls Rorowa. Very similar when this is placed on Rearguard Circle. If you have Remory, you can pay the cost of Soul Blast 2, draw a card. This is a little bit more useful in Barrel Magus, but why would I call out Remory when I can just call out literally anything else in my kit that would give me more value than draw a card and then also maybe not be at 15 soul anymore? I don't think Bruce really wants to play 2 cards just to Soul Blast 2 and draw 1. This might be a little bit useful for Greedon, but I think you need 4 soul in order to like stand. So this already takes away 4 of your soul. So it doesn't seem like this plays nice with anyone at all. And then likewise, if it's retired from Rearguard Circle, if your Vanguard is Tamayura, you can put this into the soul. So it's very easy in Tamayura to get these guys into the soul and very useful. So in Tamayura, amazing cards. Anything else, pretty bad. And then the last card here we have is an order, Blitz Order. Fleeting Shine that lights life, Blitz Order. Play this with the with cost, so Black Steel. If your Vanguard is Tamayura and its card name, choose one of your Vanguards and it gets the following ability: continuous rear Vanguard Circle. All of your opponents' front row units get power minus 10,000 to the end of the turn. So that's kind of really strong for Blitz Order, which is really cool. I don't see this having Fox art in its name, but I think it maybe is supposed to. Maybe it says it somewhere around here, but I'm pretty sure this is a Fox art, maybe. But yeah, that does it for Tamayura. I think Tamayura is actually really good. Many people have already been using Tamayura and getting some results in tournaments in Japan since this set just came out as of today. Yesterday, as of me recording out, this set came out yesterday. In general, it seems to be like the one that has the fullest package, because you have a pretty definitive game plan in powering up your units, calling them out. You can retire, you can draw, you can do a lot of things, and you have this order that is pretty interesting, because you don't really see Blitz Orders played a lot. So this is actually one of the few instances where Blitz Orders might actually start becoming a little bit more relevant. So overall, I'm not against the art. I'm not super excited about it. Rama and Riri look kind of cute. So I'll give it a 1 for the art. For the playstyle of the deck itself, I'll give it a 2. Or the additional point, right? So that bumps it up to 2. In terms of playing nice with everyone else, Rama and Riri don't really do much. This order doesn't do anything. Can't use it in any other deck. You can technically use a lot of the other stuff in that nation with Tamayura, so I'll give it a half a point for that. So it gets a strong 2.5. 2.75 or anything like that, because I think this is definitely probably the best out of all of the ride lines. Now, we come up to Kheios for Dark States. This is one with Profound Mercy Kheios. This is grade 0, so you can draw if you want second. Then we have In the Calm Street Kheios. Auto when this unit is rolled upon by the Quagmire of Solace Kheios, which is the grade 2. You can reveal the top 2 cards of your deck, put all normal units from among them into your soul, and put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. So, it doesn't seem like you have a choice. So if there's any normal units, they automatically go into the soul. But if there's like a trigger or an order or something like that, then it goes back into the bottom of your deck, which is alright. So this is actually pretty interesting. This technically gives you more soul charge than Deep Sonic as a grade 1, but unfortunately it's when you ride to grade 2, so it's not as great. When this is rated upon by the approaching Fangs Kheios, which is, you know, the grade 3, unfortunately, so you can't really use this in barrel. Soul charge 1. If the soul charge card was a trigger unit, you can draw a card. And if it was a normal unit, choose up to 1 card from your soul and call it to rearguard circle. I think this is really cool. I think being able to draw, great. Being able to get an extra body on board, great. You know, if this is, I don't know, something that can on-play soul charge again, that's even better. Like, this is really good. I really like this so far. Then we have approaching Fangs Kheios here, which is interesting. So first skill is act on Vanguard Circle once per turn. You can pay the cost of Counterblast and discard a card. Look at the top 3 cards from your deck. Choose 1 card from among them, put it into your hand. Choose up to 1 unit card from among them, call it to rearguard circle, and then put the rest into your soul. So you have so much flexibility with this. This is probably one of the most flexible skills I've seen in all of overdress, aside from like maybe something like Olin or something like that. Because you can, if you want, soul charge 3 with this skill. You can draw 1, soul charge 2. You can draw 1, call a card, and soul charge 1 with this. Like, it's just very good that you can just essentially adapt to the situation you're in and use, you know, the right option for that, which is really great. And it's not like it's on place or anything like that, so you can do it whenever. So I think that's top notch. Oh, voice of mine. Then his second skill is auto on Vanguard Circle. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, if your soul has 8 or more cards with a different card names, choose one of your rear guards and then get 10,000 power until the end of the turn. But if you have 13, so used to saying 15, 13 or more cards with different card names, choose all of your rear guards instead. So this is what makes Kheios kind of different, where you have to sort of play a sort of Highlander approach, which means you try not to play cards that have, you don't try to play multiple copies of the same card, right? You play a lot of unique cards, which allows you to then trigger this, which if you do, is huge, right? This is essentially the same as the overtrigger for Lyrical, which is just bonkers that your whole field gets 10,000 power. And this just is automatic. You don't pay anything for this, you just have to have it in your soul, and it just kind of happens whenever he attacks Vanguard, which is really good. The only problem with that is that you can't really multi-attack and get a lot of power with it, so it's not as good as the Lyrical Overtrigger. I don't know if there's really any way to multi-attack in this deck per se. But next up, we have the last card for Dark States here. Regretfully, it is the Cool-Headed Executor Mikani. So auto, when a unit is placed on rearguard circle, you can pay the cost of Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1. Choose one of your opponent's rearguards with the same grade as the card you Soul Blasted for the cost and retire it. While this part is kind of interesting, it's kind of annoying. And don't like it too much, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. Then if your Vanguard is Kheios, you can auto on rearguard circle once per turn. When your Vanguard attacks, if your soul has 8 or more cards with different card names, you can sand this unit, and if you did, put him into the soul. So that's really the only way you have that you can multi-attack in this deck that I can think of off the top of my head. There's nothing in Dark States that enables any sort of multi-attack aside from like the Gear Angel, which is kind of cool. That would actually be kind of nice if you can make that work. But unfortunately, Kheios has that attack first, so maybe there's an option there where you can like use Mikani attack, then use Kheios. Mikani stands, Kheios gives everyone power. Mikani can do his thing, and then you can maybe swing in with a big Eagle Column and then swap out for something else. I don't know. Overall, I'll give the art like a 0.5. Like, it's fine, but I'm not really interested in it. The playstyle, I can give it a 1. It's actually alright. It's definitely something different, right? It is somewhat similar to Baromagus, so it's not something completely different, but it's different enough, right, where I can give it a pass. And as opposed to playing nice with everyone else, they don't really have a lot of supporting cards, or main cards here. Mikane, I don't think plays a role in any Dark States deck, right? Again, same as with Rorowa, whichever one it was. You know, it doesn't really help them out too much. Like, it's nice, but I don't know about that. Kheios doesn't necessarily play too nice with what we have currently, because I can't think of anything that directly benefits right now from this power buff or having unique cards in Soul. So I'll just have to give it maybe a 0.5. So we'll give Kheios a 2. Next up, we have Knight of Integrity. That's kind of funny. Thegrea here. This is the card everyone has been talking about for all the wrong reasons. Next up, we have Beneath the Light, the Brilliant Light Thegrea, which is the grade 1. So auto when this unit is rolled upon by the grade 2 Harsh Training Thegrea, reveal the top card of your deck, and if it's a grade 2 or less unit, you may call it to rearguard circle as rest. The fact that it's as rest is kind of interesting, because we already have this effect on 2 other Keter Sanctuary ride lines, right? I don't remember what it is, but the Bastion ride line lets you do this, where you can call out a unit, and then the Blaster, the PBD ride line, literally does this. Blaster Javelin literally does this, right? The only thing is that I think with Blaster Javelin you can call out a grade 3, but and I think Javelin might retire or put in a drop if you can't call it, whereas this just puts it right on top. So overall, I don't know how I feel about that. It's literally a skill we've already seen before several times, but in any case, we have Harsh Training Thegrea here. Auto when this unit is ridden upon by a grade 3 with Thegrea in its card name, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 card with either Thegrea or Maple in its card name among it, reveal it, and put it into your hand and shuffle your deck. So it's nice that these aren't like specifically named, so it can open the door for maybe future support. So this might still be useful, so it has a little bit of future proofing, which is nice. This is really good knowing what the grade 3 or grade 3s do, so this is actually really solid. Then let's go to the first grade 3 here, One Who Blooms in the Dark Thegrea. So, not a chunky bunch of text here. First, there's a continuous skill where if you normal ride this from your hand with another Thegrea that has a different name, it still counts a Persona ride. The reason for that is that there is another grade 3 Thegrea. So you can take the light version here, ride it over the dark version, or take the dark version, ride it over the light version. Cool. Nice little chaos theme here, right? Then the dark version has a skill which is act on Vanguard Circle once per turn. Cost, you can retire 2 of your grade 2 or less rearguards, choose one of your opponent's rearguards and retire it. Then if you have the light Thegrea in your soul, retire all of your opponent's rearguards in that same column. So that's kind of cool. It has a very sort of Shadow Paladin-like skill. It's very interesting, except we already have, you know, PBD. But fine. Fine. Fair enough. Then it has another skill, auto on Vanguard Circle, once per turn. At the end of the battle of this unit attack, if this unit was placed by riding from the light Thegrea, you can pay the costs, if you roll a discern, you can pay the cost of Counterblast 1 and discard a card from your hand to stand this unit and get drive -1 to the end of the turn. That's really good. That's a pretty easy cost to pay for a restanding Vanguard. Not bad, okay. And it's also nice that it's not like the only game plan this deck has, because we also have the light version who actually plays pretty differently. So if you ride this over the dark version, it still counts as a Persona ride. But then, Act on Vanguard Circle once return, counterblast 1, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 grade 2 or less unit from among them and call it to Vanguard Circle and shuffle the rest. But if you have the Dark Dagger on your soul, you can call 2, which is amazing. I think you'd probably want to... I'm not really sure which one you would want to have in your ride deck, because I'm assuming you want to use the skill of the light version, this first skill here, on your first turn in order to maybe get some aggro in, and then have this one be your finisher. So that would mean you have this one in your ride deck, and then ride into this one, or have this one into your ride deck and then add this to the soul with some other card, which we have a couple of those now. So that's kind of nice. If you're looking to play these decks, you should probably look out those cards that put stuff into the soul. I think right now it's just like a promo. And you might be able to use like Drilling Angel maybe? See if you can get some copies of them. Then last skill here is auto on Vanguard Circle. At the end of the battle that this unit attacked, if this unit was placed by riding from the Dark Thegrea this turn, you can pay the cost of no counterblast, just discard a card, choose another rear guard and stand it. So it's kind of interesting. You can either stand Thegrea herself or you can stand one of your other rear guards, which I think is really solid for Keter Sanctuary. They have really good strong rear guards that can get really beefy, so both of these are really solid, and it's nice that you can sort of switch over to which one you want. But then next up we have the Dual Nation here, the Atrocious Moth Girl Maple, which is actually a pretty solid card. As an effect, auto from your drop zone when your grade 3 or greater Vanguard is placed during the ride phase. If you do not have Maple or a unit with Maple in its card name on board, you can call it to Vanguard Circle, which is nice. Then if your Vanguard is Thegrea, you can, at the end of the battle that this unit attack, Soul Blast 1 or more, choose a card from your soul with the same grade as the sum of the cards that you Soul Blasted for this cost, put into your hand and put this unit into your soul. Not sure how I feel about this, but it does mean you can, for example, just Soul Blast 1, add a PG to your hand, and then put this into your soul, Soul Blast it out later, and then bring it back whenever you play Thegrea. I can't off the top of my head think of cards that let you do this. So that's okay, but I don't see a situation when you would put a PG in your soul. Like, this isn't, you know, Baramagus or any other Dark States deck, so I don't know how useful this will be. And the grade 1 Thegrea doesn't really do anything for you, so you won't be grabbing that. You're not going to be Soul Blasting 3, I don't think, just to get a Thegrea. So, very interesting card. But the fact that it comes back from the drop is very nice. You always have a attacker on board or a defender. So in terms of rating Thegrea, I like the art. What can I say? Right, the art looks nice. It is a bit ridiculous, but whatever. The playstyle I find kind of interesting. It is a little sort of meh. Especially considering that, like, this skill is for grade 2s. I'm not really sure what good grade 2s you can call out, other than, like, Maple, but I'll have to see, because, you know, Keter is basically mainly for Bastion, and then everything else is kind of for Hexorb, right? And then there's some random cards in between. Now we have like the PvD support and then the new MLB support, so that might change things up a little bit. We might be able to get some of those grade 2s. I don't remember if Blaster Blade is locked to any specific named Vanguard, so you can call out a Blaster Blade for Counterblast 1, Counterblast again to retire, which is kind of nice. So that's pretty cool. And it does kind of play nice with other decks because it doesn't really care too much about anything else other than having itself in its soul, right? So Thegrea is kind of like a 3. Definitely not. Definitely not Thegrea herself, but the ride line and, you know, her cards I think are pretty much a 3, right? The art looks good. The playstyle is pretty interesting, and it can somewhat be splashable and, you know, it plays nice but everything else. It maybe doesn't offer a lot, but I think it offers enough for me to give it a pass. The last card here that I spoiled a little bit, or the last set of cards here, is One Who Craves Knowledge Eva. This is for Brangate here. Let's go on to the grade 1 here. An afternoon nap regardless of place Eva. When this unit is placed by writing from One Who Craves Knowledge Eva, search your deck for up to 1 research card, reveal it and put it into your hand, shuffle your deck. Originally I thought this was really cool, especially considering what happens in the rest of the ride line, but I'll get this out of the way right now. We only have 1 research card for this whole deck in this set. Next up we have Smooth Research Progress Eva. When this unit is placed by writing over the grade 1, search your deck for 1 research card, reveal it, add it to your hand, and shuffle it. It is the same as the first one. You just search for a research card, search for another research card. So you have 2 research cards in your hand, right? Finally, we go to the grade 3 here. Act on Vanguard Circle once per turn. You can pay the cost, counterblast 1. Look at cards from the top of your deck equal to the number of research cards in your order zone. Choose up to 1 card from among them, put it into your hand, and put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. And this unit gets 5k power until the end of the turn. So, if we take a look at the order here, it's a grade 2 order, which means you search out an order from the grade 1. Alright, you can't play that turn. Then you get another order when you ride the grade 2. You play the order that turn. Then, once you have the grade 3, you play another order that turn, which means you can counterblast 1, draw 2, essentially, and get 5k power. That is really solid. I really like Eva's sort of, I guess, main gimmick of searching a lot, because it just really reminds me of like Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck thinning. Because that's sort of like a real big thing in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is thinning out your deck, making it as small as possible with a lot of the cards that you use, whereas it's not really that prevalent, or maybe even not prevalent at all in Vanguard, because you don't want to thin out your deck too much, because I feel like you're maybe a little bit more prone to decking out, but also more importantly, you don't want to mess around with your triggers too much, right? You don't want to draw into a bunch of triggers, right? Usually it's either searching or drawing, right? Yu-Gi-Oh! You're more than welcome to do both. In Vanguard, you kind of can only search, and everything has a cost behind it, usually. So I like that these are like basically for free, right? So you start here with less cards in your deck than any other player would, presumably. Then her second skill is Auto on Vanguard Circle. When this unit attacks, you can pay the cost of Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, search your deck or hand for up to 1 card with Obscuted in its card name and call it to Vanguard Circle. And if you search your deck, shuffle your deck. That is kind of wild. The like search potential of this deck is ridiculous. So you can draw 2, then you add another card to your hand. You add 3 cards. You get a +3 for the cost of Counterblast 2 and Soul Blast 1 and attacking with this unit, while also powering her up a little bit. That just sounds all really good. And if you added one of the research cards with the first skill, next turn you're going to be able to draw 3 for Counterblast 1, which is kind of wild to me. And it's not even like specifically draw. No, you look at 3 cards and choose the ones you want. You see 2 critical triggers, you don't pick those. Which is kind of crazy to me. And then you can use this skill to shuffle your deck, so even though you put stuff at the bottom of your deck, it's just gonna get shuffled anyways. So I'm actually a really big fan of Eva. Unfortunately, as I mentioned, she only has 1 order card, which doesn't really do too much. I was a little bit worried about her the second effect of this order, but let's just go through it. So it's experiment successful. After a set order is played, you can play it in your order zone, so it is a set order, so it stays there. So a lot of the sort of video support and Orpheus support, and I don't think any of the prison support can apply to this, because you'll have a bunch of set orders. When this card is put into your order zone, draw a card, choose a card from your hand, and discard it. So much draw power here. And if your order zone has 3 or more research cards, you can pay the cost of Soul Blast 1, choose one of your units or one of your opponent's rear guard, and bind it. That just poofs away one of your opponent's units, because there's no way, I'm pretty sure, in overdress to get that back. Like, no card says bring a card back from your bind zone or anything like that, aside from maybe Zorga, but I think that's only for orders, right? So that's really wild to me. But considering you can only play one order once per turn, you only have 4 of these that you can play in your deck, all the same copy. This isn't really that big of a deal, right? You'll at best be able to bind 2 of your opponent's cards, more than likely just 1 on a good day. So, last card here, last card overall, is going to be the Knight of Blackness Obscured. Auto on Rear Circle. When this unit attacks, if your order zone has a set order, this unit gets 5,000 power until the end of that battle. And if you have 3 more set order, this one gets 10,000 instead of 5,000. Alright, so that's okay. I don't know if Orphis or Gavidia or even maybe Prison really needs this. They probably have cards that do this already that probably can guard and a bunch of other stuff. But, you know, it's okay. Then if you have Eva as your Vanguard, when his unit is placed on Rearguard Circle by a card ability, so her own ability, if your order zone has 3 or more research cards, this unit gets a critical to the end of the turn, which is nice. But getting those 3 orders is a little bit difficult. Then he also has an effect where he gains Intercept and 10k Shield if you have Eva, so that's really solid. So for Eva, this card is amazing. Everything else doesn't really do a lot. So looking back at Eva, I'll give the art a 1. I originally was not very excited about her, and like I didn't like these like lock rings that she has, because I figured it was just going to be bringing lock into overdress, and I was not hyped for that. And I was hoping to get something more Nova Grapple or even Dimension Police or something like that. So I was really hoping she would like pilot a mech, but she just refuses to get in the damn robot. But I really like the art, especially for this one. They all look really nice. So the art gets a 1. This guy here looks really cool. I thought he was going to be originally for Dark States, so I was really psyched to see what he does, but he's not at all Dark States. Then, in terms of the playstyle itself, I am very excited about it, so that automatically gets a 1. I do like, you know, the sort of capabilities of being able to draw a bunch and search out a bunch of cards. I think that sounds really interesting to me. We don't really have anything like that in overdress. So that's really cool. In terms of playing with other units, I don't really know. I'm gonna maybe just have to dock it a full point, because this guy doesn't really do much. You can, I guess, draw, but you already have the order, lets you Soul Blast 1 to draw. So I don't know if you really want to do this. Her skills don't really do anything that pertain to the other cards in that nation, right? Since she only calls out a specific card, so yeah, she gets a 0 for in terms of playing nice with other cards. Especially since this part here needs to have 3 or more research cards instead of 3 or more orders. If it was 3 or more orders, it actually would have been really playable. The bind would have come in, you know, a lot more than usual. But that might have been maybe too strong, I don't know. So for right now, I think I was probably next to Rorowa, maybe one of the weakest from all these ride lines. But I'll give her a 2.
You were close.
So I think I gave Thegrea a 3.
Perfect.
We gave Eva a 2. We gave, I think, Kheios like a 2 as well. I gave Tamayura a 2.5. And I think I gave Rorowa like a 1. But yeah. That is all of the ride lines, or the new ride lines, that are all the new Cray-Cross Epic ride lines, because of MLB I have to say that and specify that are going to be released in DBTO5, whenever it is that we get that. I think I'm going to spend some time in Cardfight Arena testing some of these out, specifically Eva, and see if there's really anything interesting that I can do. I don't know if I'll upload those. If you'd like to see that, let me know in the comments down below, or if you'd like me to do any of these kind of videos with like any other cards or anything like that. I don't really like to focus on like set reveals or card reveals. I kind of like to wait until the cards are released, right? Because you get into this flow of like, you stay up to date with as soon as a card releases, but everything's always delayed for us in the rest of the world. So by the time we get set 5, they're already going to be revealing set 6 and talking about set 7. And I don't really like thinking that the thing I just bought that came out today is already outdated, right? But my weird philosophies aside, let me know also if you enjoyed this video and what you think about these ride lines, any of them, and take care of yourself.